What? He makes movies too now? Yeah, I heard so too. Awesome.
Alright. Alright. Yeah. First words spoken. Words like throat is a little bit raspy. I realize some of these days I'll probably have to clean, alright? Now, I wanted to show you a bit more cooking. Also just threw away that cake. Because sometimes you just have to make a choice. It's like... It's not an easy choice because... Right, I mean, we all know this feeling when you eat cake. It's like nice and spongy. And like, it's a nice consistency. You can easily swallow it. In a way, it gives you a lot of pleasure. But now what you have to understand is that this pleasure comes with a cost. And this cost is that your body is actually going more toxic. No, I'm still changing my diet. So what I said was, because I brought them, I don't want to throw them away. I don't really want to eat them either. I actually don't want to eat them. Because these things, they're so hybrid. This is not real fruit anymore. Real fruit isn't just sweet. Real fruit is also sour. So with apples, I'm okay, but these things are really terrible. Really terrible. But I have a real problem. Sometimes. But you know what? I didn't buy this. I didn't buy it, so I don't have to take responsibility for it. I mean, I just did anyway. And I had to do it. This is fresh garlic. This is an onion. And this is ginger. Now, I don't want to use all my onions, because what I'm about to make now is a soup with canned chickpeas and the rest of the coconut cream. Lest it go bad, yeah. Oh yeah. These are also mustard seeds, but they're brown mustard seeds. Now, the question may arise, what's the difference? And the answer may follow, and it says, yeah, probably is a different taste, right? So, what I'm saying is that it's a challenge. It's a challenge to change your diet. And it's a challenge to do things different than most people. Now, you should know by now how most people eat. You should know by now how most people live their lives. Yeah, most people eat a lot of bread and a lot of sugar and a lot of quick meals. Yeah, they eat fast food. And they do these things not only because they actually like it, they do it because they feel safe doing it. Oh yeah, I shouted yesterday, I forgot. But now I remember. It clears your throat from a lot of anger. So I rather do this once in a while than to just speak with all that held back anger. Because there's a lot of it inside. And also I have to say, I still don't know what I'm supposed to do. You know, sometimes I just say things that I'm asking for a job, and then I realize I've already got a job. And I can do it in my own way, right? Just because I feel like a bit pressured by my parents, but unless I give into it, there's actually nothing happening. So, yeah, if we speak about diet, I mean, you can already see the difference when you think about it in your mind. If you have a cake that's made of flour, and that's made of sugar and eggs. You know, this stuff is all kind of, it doesn't really have a lot of substance. But now an onion does have substance. And what I would like to do then is, just want to check that this is on there. It's on there. Sometimes I feel like I could actually, well, now is so crazy, I'm telling you. I'm sitting here in the kitchen, on the ground, and while I'm doing this, a feeling comes up and I want to watch a movie. I want to watch a movie, and the movie is, it's an anime. I get these a lot. And now the question is, why does it come up? Is it a topic? Where does it come from? Well, one thing that I really liked about anime was watching them make the food. Because making food and then sitting together eating food is one of the major things also so often in anime. I like that, right? People take time to cook. Well, what it takes most of all is a lot of practice so that you know, right? What heat settings does my stove have? How do I slice an onion without worrying that I'm going to cut myself? Well, if you sliced hundreds of onions, I'm sure you'll know how to slice onions, and then it's gonna be better. Right, so I hold my fingers a little bit like this, so that I can cut past here, so that I make sure, right, it's like you stick these out, and then your fingertips, you cannot actually reach that. You know, this is how you can cut. Because then the blade is further down than, yeah, I think you know what I mean. So the question is, you see how this has much more stuff, much more variation than sugar. What I was saying in one of these other videos, that sugar has only sugar in it. An onion has also sugar in it. So if you fry it before adding other things, you can give your meal a little bit of a sweet and smoky taste. And that's something that I find very nice. And now I cannot tell you exactly what bay leaves do. Bay leaves as a remedy, but we can assume that they are detoxifying something. Now, if you really want to know what bay leaves do, you probably have to look it up. Also in terms of taste, because a lot of people, because often you use bay leaves always in soups, so you don't actually know how bay leaves taste on their own. These are cloves. I'm just gonna put that in the fat in the beginning. I don't actually know, that's what I said already, if that destroys the etheric oils. It may somewhat, but to me, at this moment, I say it's okay. So what you can also do if you want to know how bay leaves taste, but that shouldn't put you off, because if you put it in a soup, it's gonna be less. You can just chew on a bit of it. Yeah. So this is going to be a fairly easy soup that's good to have in the repertoire. Because if you feel like, what most people consider as a cold, if you feel like you're having a cold, then instead of just running to the doctor, you could actually do something like this. You make a soup with spices and onions. This is basically like a broth. And then you add ginger. And then you assist your body in healing. And that's a challenge because nobody really does that. So you may feel like it's really weird to do this because none of your friends can cook. They just eat fast food. Yeah. And that's why they look so miserable all the time. And why they have these really bad thoughts. So bay leaves are also a little bit bitter, so you don't want to only use bay leaves, but bay leaves in combination. And that's why I say, to counterbalance bitter, you can make a bit, something sweet in there. So carrots are sweet, maybe chickpeas even, I don't know. But onions that you fry in fat for a while, they're sweet, which means you have a bit of bitter from the bay leaves, which is nice, and then you counterbalance it with the sweetness of the onions, which you get from caramelizing them. Yeah, and then you don't have to use sugar. Some people, they use sugar in tomato soup or sauce because they say, they're really acidic. That's stupid because you could just fry onions and then you already have sugar. You don't have to add sugar in addition. Yeah, I'm just gonna take both of these as I picked them, simply because this one's already going bad. I might in fact have to chuck it. Yeah, sometimes I also don't know 100% what's still good to eat. This smells a little bit off, but I'm sure there's worse things. Yeah. But that's also the kind of way we've been raised, right? We've been raised to think that throwing away food is bad. Well, if you constantly throw away food because you overcook, or you just buy things and then you don't eat them, you just buy them because you think they look good, and then they stand around in your fridge, and then you're basically waiting until they go bad because you rather want to eat other things. You know, that's basically how I was raised by my parents. You know, they just buy things, and then they have them in the fridge, and then they cook things, and then they are also in the fridge, and then they eat them once, and then my father is like, nah, I don't want to eat this again. Like, you know, then he rather eats bread with honey on top, or with sausage or cheese. You know what I would say, if I would be a householder, I would probably tell him to eat what is being served. Yeah, but then people are really stupid these days, so what do? They just say, then I'm just gonna eat something, you know, then I'm gonna go somewhere else. So sometimes, and this is so annoying, because people are so hurt, they're so emotionally hurt, that they don't want to eat your food. Yeah, because my father has been left by his father. He doesn't want to eat my soup because he's afraid of being rejected. And I have to deal with that in a 60-year-old man. Just think about it. How old people are sometimes a little bit like children. Yeah, because they've always been like this. Because their inner child has always been angry and left, and they never took the time to heal it. And they also never wanted to heal it because they thought. So you see how there are a lot of solutions that spirituality offers, such as if you have a shitty diet, you probably have to look at your childhood and just remember, you don't have to do it like me and just live with your parents for years on end until they pay you an apartment to get rid of you. No, you don't have to do it like this at all. But what you can do is, you can just remember back. How was it really? Because often people tell you something and it's only half the truth. This is again vegetable stocking. Yeah, I don't have to show you everything, right? I mean, you see me putting in these things, I tell you what they are. From there you can go on your own. This is cumin, which I've not told you, so you cannot say, what is he putting in there? And I've just told you. So yeah, you know, I'm going through this over and over in my head. What am I supposed to do now? Because I have a spiritual awareness, which means I don't just make choices like most people. I don't make choices based on money alone. I make choices that are the closest to my heart. And sometimes I have to go through hundreds of options before I come to the conclusion of what I actually... So these were brown mustard seeds and cumin seeds. So sometimes I have to go through hundreds of options. Yeah, what kind of job? I already have a job. Now my parents are paying me an apartment. What does that change? Well, it literally changes nothing. You've worked hard and now you got an apartment. Your parents are paying it. Why? Because they feel ashamed of dragging you down several flights of stairs. Yeah, and your father is maybe opening his heart to you, so he says, you know, I've got money, why not pay my son an apartment? So he can just do his own thing without us looming over him. Because I said all along, this is what I want to do. And now, just because they pay me an apartment, and my mother says things like, yeah, but we won't do this forever. Yeah. But until I earn money with this, you're either gonna do that, or you're gonna take me back to my room. Because now you have to be a little bit stupid. I feel like I have to be a little bit stupid. Or smart. Because what options do I have? What options do I have? Well, I have several options. I could look for a job, which I don't want. Because how can I be relaxed about doing this if I also have to worry about going to other places and work there? Because like I said, in my mind, I already have a job. But now the question always remains, well, is that really proper? Like, if the stalk is still green, you can use it. It's a bit like spring onion. So if you buy really fresh garlic, you can use the stalk. Yeah, and a part of me just wants to use it all, because if I don't do that, it might just go bad. This fresh garlic is different from other kinds of garlic. You can use it just as it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna half it. So yesterday when I was screaming, that's just like, you know, things like my mother is saying to me, yeah, but we won't pay this forever. And then my own fear, well, how do I know that I'm gonna earn money with this? Because in that sense, you can't say, I've never earned money with this. I mean, I have earned. I've already sold books. But not to the amount that I would say, yeah, I can finance my own apartment with it. But maybe it's gonna take 2 months. Maybe it's gonna take 3. When I left there, my parents were aware that this is my resolve. And so why would I change that? Well, I would change that because I would feel like now I have to please my parents, but it's my parents that want to please me. Because they shouted at me and they feel bad for it. And because they don't think it's enough to apologize, they pay me an apartment. You know, it's really important that you remember these things sometimes. Because people are going to drive you crazy, because what they really want is to be on top, right? They want to be on top, they want to feel on top, because they want to feel powerful, which is partly why they eat all this sugar, because it makes you feel powerful. It doesn't make you powerful, it just makes you feel powerful. So now I'm just going to put in the whole can, including the fluid. So I can end my own suffering if I simply accept my situation and embrace it. Because if I'm honest about it, I don't mind that my parents are paying my apartment. It's actually nice even to say that. My parents are supporting me. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice thing to say. And then some people, yeah, they would try to ruin that for me because they would say, yeah, you're a lazy asshole. Yeah, I know. That's why my parents are paying my apartment. Because I have a dream, and apparently they support me with that. Thank you very much. But if parents do that to their child, other people come and say, yeah, look at this guy. He's just a good for nothing. He doesn't even have a proper job. He doesn't even have this. You know, they don't even see what you have. You know, I have a good mood because I don't work for other people. And that's why I can create videos like this. Because I have a good mood. Because I maintain my own space. And you may think, well, you're living in a fantasy. Yeah, sometimes you just want a bit extra salt. And whether that's smart or not isn't really up for me. So that was another vegetable stock, alright? For anyone who's really insecure and really has to see what I'm doing here. Yeah, so I want to put in a bit more of those yellow mustard seeds. Normally I would put in turmeric now. So if you got turmeric and you can bear the thought of putting something else in there than I have, I invite you to put in turmeric because it gives the soup a nice and yellow color. All right. And because it's a soup, I can now put in more water. This is water now. Okay, I'm just gonna let this cook. Because I feel like I have an appointment. You see, sometimes it's really hard because life does give me this. You have to understand that. You see, it gives me this through my parents. It wouldn't have given me this if I wouldn't have made the choices that I've made. So you can say now, wait, am I actually allowed to be happy about this now? Or am I supposed to feel miserable about it? Well, now I'm standing here, yeah, and I'm rendering one video after another. Because I want to make sure that this keeps going. And sometimes I'm stretching out things. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just stretching out things. And why do I do that? I don't know. So I could stretch out I could stretch out my time now, actually. First is the RGB noise. That's the dust. So I already have a job. I mean, this is something that is to me very important. This is what I'm doing. And if I'm going working somewhere else, I'm doing something else. So this is what I've been screaming about yesterday. Because it can drive a man insane. Choices. And you can't say, well, the kind of choices I'm making aren't even that complicated. But they are. Because every man has to make... This is up is down now. This is for June already. Oh yeah, I'm already after that. So this video is probably going to be called something like Chickpea Soup Whizzdom. So a man has to make choices, yeah? And you may see the kind of choices Gandhi had to make. I mean, that's enough to drive a man insane. But on a level, we're all Gandhi. Maybe you don't have to make the exact same choice Gandhi had to make. Because he was, I mean, just the way you see it in the movie, alright? He went to South Africa and he was seeing the state of affairs. The state of affair was people were being suppressed. And he didn't like that. And so he felt like this ought to change. He felt like this ought to change. And so he started changing that. And it started with a few choices where he stood up against the government. And it ended up with him leading a whole revolution and being called the father of India. I mean, it starts with a single man that makes a choice. Now, I'm not saying I'm the leader of a giant revolution or something. I'm just saying this is already a movement. Because I'm not the only one doing this. I'm doing it because I see that it works. But I also don't want to be working for YouTube. This is radish. This is something tomato quinoa. So I like to keep my days a bit empty. If I have a job, I cannot do this. Now, I already was at the point where I went to work somewhere and I literally ran away from the job because I wanted to do this instead. Now, if I would be working at a boulder hall, I would have to sell cakes to children. And I cannot do this anymore. So if I would have a boulder hall myself, that would be a different story. But to me, the thought of it is horrendous, because who's gonna deal with all the stuff, like government tax stuff, that I really don't like? Right? So either I would have to employ someone, but ultimately, I'm like Rick in that movie, in that episode called, I forgot. You know, where Summer is starting to work for the devil, and then Rick opens up a shop called Purge. Something Purge, blah 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 plus. Maybe Purge Remove Plus or something. I don't really. Maybe it's called Curse Purge Plus. And then once the people come in with all the text files, he just burns everything and says, yeah, I'm out of here. This is how I feel. I just cannot be bothered. I mean, there's a reason why I want to be self-employed. No, I have to correct that. Why I am self-employed. Because there's a specific way of how I like things to do. And that certainly does not involve tax or dealing with bureaucracy, right? I don't have to take my receipts and send them in. But if you would have a large corporation with employees working for you, you would have to do all these kinds of things. So I don't like the idea even of employing people. So I sometimes think about, if I would rent a place and make a co-working space out of it, it's already a trap for me. I don't like the idea. Because I like to go back to my apartment and close the door. But if you have a place, you know, I already have my place, and that's the internet. Because the internet creates enough distance so that I can keep people off my back. I can still give them whatever I want. And then I go to the boulder hall once in a while, or wherever I want to go, and then I just meet and talk to people. But then I go there because I choose to do it. But if I would go to the boulder hall and work there as an employee, I would get sucked into their stupid franchise of making money with people that want to boulder. Because that's the only interest they have. They just want to make money. They don't really do this because they like it when people boulder. Because a boulder hall also creates a lot of trash. Sure, in a way it's important. Because it's an easy place to go to, as a family, on a Sunday, because they've got food and they've got a lot of space, and your children can move, right? And the chance of injury is very low. Because there's mattresses everywhere. But that also depends, of course, because if you're in a large city, these boulder halls are crowded. Now here, there's not so many people. And yesterday I was just playing with children. Because most adults, they're too stupid to play with children because they think they have to be adults. But I can be a child and an adult at the same time. I really love garlic, and that shouldn't be standing in the sun, I realized. Just want more in there. Also want to do this. Yeah, sometimes I think, you know, what people would say, why they would like watching my video. Because he's so casual. You don't have the feeling he's filming this. Look, now I put garlic on top. Amazing. Yeah, I know. And I think that's what people want. Just people who are authentic, who simply are the way that they film themselves to be. Because a lot of people, they're not the way that they film themselves to be. Because I don't really hide the fact that I'm angry. So if you would meet me on the street and you would just come to me and say something, yeah, you know, I don't know you. I'm not just gonna be your friend, man. I'm gonna be friendly, but I'm gonna make sure that you stay away from me. Because why are you stalking me, right? I don't know you. I'm just a creator that creates content for people that have nothing better to do than to watch it. And maybe it's for that reason that people don't really want to watch it. Or maybe they really haven't heard of me yet, which is a very likely possibility, actually. Which brings me back to the boulder hall. Right, you can really think your way into something that you actually hate. You know, I can make working at the boulder hall sound so scrumptious to me that I will actually go there. And then I go there and I work there and I realize it's not what I thought it was. And that's how it would be. All right. We're at the end. Soups don't necessarily have to cook for hours. Sometimes it's nice if a soup can cook for a long time. But these chickpeas are already cooked, and that's why it's a quick meal. You can make this in 20 minutes when you have maybe the habit of chopping onions. So what you need would be something to put it in now. And then trying not to because now I also want to have chickpeas, but I don't have one of these soup spoons, so I'll just do it like this. Yeah, and this can just sit in there, because this is gonna stay good for at least until tonight. So let's just see. I can say, wipe that smile off your face. Because you didn't work to make this soup. I did. So if you want to eat soup, it's too hot. Impatient people like to eat hot. Now I feel like I have to finish this. Yeah. Oh wow. I already forgot that I put coconut cream inside. Yeah, because it's metal. It's hot, of course. Yeah. Now I'm holding it with my left. I'm eating with my right. Oh wow. It's such a simple meal, but it's everything you need. That's all you have to know. Yeah, it's got nutrients, it's got fat, essential oil, it's got protein through the chickpeas. Ginger has a lot of nutrients. And then all these essential oils that you get from the spices, which why I keep saying spices are important. Wow, and now I feel my stretching down here. So sitting like this is indeed good. And that's what I see in a lot of people who go climbing. They have maybe a strong upper body, but they lack strength here. And I've got a lot of strength there in my rear because I walk a lot, and I walk a lot barefoot. these people don't walk alone. They go and they climb, but they miss a lot of strength in their middle. And you can see that because they have really small butts. A very thick butt. Wow. So I may say, be your own man. And then I make decisions based on the idea I have of what I think a man should be. Yeah, and then I would think, oh yeah, I have to have my own job, I have to have insurances, I have to make sure I, pay all this tax and stuff. And I have to do what people expect me to do. But that's not being a man. That's just being a subject to other people's expectations. Right? You say like, I subject myself. So I could now, my parents feel a little superior now, sometimes. Because they pay me this place. But like I said, I didn't ask for it. I said into myself, I would like to have my own place. And now I have one. And other people are paying it. So I got this place because I was who I was. and because I didn't give anyone an inch to piss on me. Now, if I go and I work for someone, that someone will think that he owes me, or in fact, he probably would owe me. And then I would have people that I would work with that think they are higher than me in the hierarchy because they've worked there longer. And then I would have to deal with this shit of them trying to make themselves feel better by using me and trying to make me feel small. And then I would have to stand up for myself. And in the end, they would all hate me. I know it is this way. And when I would leave, I've been there already many times. So I'd rather just go there and climb once in a while. And I'm saying this while I still have no idea if what I think I'm doing here is actually working out. But I also feel like as long as I can be seen doing it, nobody can deny that I'm actually doing it. And maybe it's still gonna take a while, who knows? Oh, wow. And maybe it's just around the corner, who knows, right? You know, it's hard to imagine these things. I couldn't imagine having an apartment in this kind of way. I mean, I did think of having an apartment and the way it would look like. But then your father comes and says, we have an apartment for you. And you say, sure. So the apartment came to me. This job doesn't come to me. I'm running after it. And that's the important point of the law of attraction. That you do your work and then you attract things into your life. But you cannot work with what you don't have. I have a family and this family has money. And if you look at how selfish people are with their money, they don't know what to do with it. They're just piling it up and they're just using it to make their house, which actually is owned by the bank, because my brother sold it to them by getting a credit. Yeah, so with the house that they live in, they just spend money on that. Right? This is like selfish waste of money. Now what I'm not really forcing them. They do this out of their own free will. They give me some of that money that they earned. It's like washing that greed with love. Because they're not gonna get anything back from me but love. And that's what they pay me for. Because they could have thrown me out, but they realized, wow, that guy has a lot of love to give. I want to pay him an apartment so that he will be happy about coming back here because we paid him an apartment. That's what's going on. I'm being paid to love them. And I can do that to a certain degree. So now if you see it like this, you go there, you work there. Do I want to do that? You see how difficult it is for me to come to a conclusion with this. I mean, whether or not my ideas are justified, Whether or not my ideas are justified, I have no idea. But then I could project it, the same thing I just said, they're paying me to love them. So if I would go there and ask for a job, I think, now they can control me. But the point is, I don't want to do their job, because working in a boulder hall is their job. My job is going there and talk to people in the way that I want to talk to them. And if I go and they pay me, then they can use me. Then they can force me to love them. And to me, that kind of relationship is enough with whoever my parents are. It's better to sit in a squat. I know that, because it keeps my back upright. But it also makes my legs go all pins and needles. So, right, if you see behind the veil, if you see behind of what is going on the surface, then choices become hard. But once you've came to a conclusion, it becomes a little easier. Because there are some things that I remind myself that I have said them. And what I said before was, I'm never going to work for anybody else but myself again. And even though I did ask them for a job, I first said, that's just me trying to be a bit cocky with life. Yeah, I'm just gonna see how far you let me go. Because I know already how it works. If I go somewhere and I want to work there, and life wants me out of there, it's just gonna make it so uncomfortable for me. It's like when I was working in the cinema, I was talking myself into that I actually like this job. And then there was this kid and he basically vomited right in front of my feet and I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And I would probably have the same thing if I would start walking in the boulder hall. I would go there, I would work there. Yeah, I would serve people coffee and cake. And I would hate it. Or I would start hating it. So now I can learn from the experience I've had. The boulder hall just looks better, but it's the same thing. Because if they would give a damn, they wouldn't sell cake and they wouldn't sell coffee, they would sell tea. Now I may go there and think I can change something. I cannot change it because they sell coffee because people want coffee, which means they're interested in money. Which means if they don't sell coffee, people wouldn't come there anymore because they want to climb and drink coffee. So if I would have my own boulder hall, I would say, well, too bad, you don't get coffee here, my friend. Now this is the kind of soup, I could just eat that. I mean, I can already feel how it's cleansing my ears. It's incredible. That's just the kind of feeling you don't get from cake. Wow, this is nice. It also says never leave your food unattended. Oh, because you don't know what's jumping into it. As long as you're here, you know, at least, unless you wrap it up. But for instance, when I lived with my parents, I didn't like cooking. Why? Because when I cook, they would go and look at my food, and in this way they bewitch it. And that means it's not healing me anymore. No, it's actually toxic. This is how you just have to look into what witchcraft really is. Everybody does it. Gossip is witchcraft. It's trying to take a thing that's actually fine the way it is and then turn it into something nasty. Or you take a thing like boulder halls and you're trying to turn it into something good. Or like movies, or Hollywood, or the cinema, or sugar, or coffee. Yeah, you take something that's actually nasty, and because of advertisement and words, you turn it into something where you have the feeling it's a bit better, but it's just shit. So you may think my life is going to be so much easier when I know who my wife is or my husband, or when I know what my job is. Well, it won't be easier, but at least you have a direction. I know what my job is. My job is partly to just do my own thing. That's what I'm doing. And that means when I'm faced with choices such as, am I supposed to get another job now? My heart says, you have to do your own thing. Because the beauty of you is that you're free. And that when you go to the boulder hall and you pay your 11 euros, you can do what you want, right? So I don't go to a bouldering contest because I don't like the idea that people tell me how good I climb, right? That's for people who want to know how good they are. But if you know how good you are, you don't need people to tell you. Yeah. Most people that go to these contests are just gonna drop out because they thought they were better than they are, and now they know, and then they're probably never gonna climb again. And then you've got people who just keep going there because they just love winning. And if they would start losing, they'd probably stop going. So competitions are for people to feel superior. You know, I know that in some ways I am superior because I've freed my mind of all these shackles that most people have on them. And that's the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. Truth. That is the truth. This meal actually makes me want to work. And I can eat as much soup as I want to. All right. This is now one entire video. And like I said, I'm gonna call it Chickpea Soup Whizzdom. And I'm gonna keep rendering videos until they're done. Now I have a problem. Because I thought of taking my laptop. Okay, this still takes 10 minutes. Just want to see. Alright, this one's over. This was Chickpea Soup Whizzdom. Thank you for watching. You know, I like doing these things. May you find what you like in your life. I've shown you a lot. Learn from it if you want. Grow with it if you like. Or just grow with yourself or something.